Hi, everyone. We are back, your favorite podcast about creativity, art, design, philosophy. This is Woodworking is Bullshit. I'm your host, Paul Jasper, scientist by day, woodworker by night, and I'm joined with my two co-hosts this show. We have in the first chair, Eric Curtis, fine furniture maker and content creator.
¿Cómo estás, mi amigos?
As well.
Oh, you guys didn't know I was bilingual, bitch, huh?
I did it. As well as our more often recurring friend and opinionated, amazing co-host, Conrad Sauer. Conrad, we are so happy to have you joining us more frequently.
Yeah, thank you. This is a lot of fun. This is great. I love this.
Hell yeah, buddy.
We do too.
Yeah. Paul, before anything happens on this episode, I need to ask you about something I just noticed, which is, do you have a tape measure holding up your microphone right now? Is that what's happening?
Sorry, for those who have the video feed, you told me, Eric, that my voice sounds better when I tilt my mic sideways.
The mic sounds, you sound so hot right now. You're so sexy.
Oh. Well,
no, hot in a good way.
I was like, am I suddenly Jack Thomas?
So, but why do you have a tape measure on there?
Well, I couldn't get the stand to fucking stay still in this weird ass position, so
it's tethered to the desk with a tape measure.
This is a like seamstress's tape measure that I found in the desk drawer, and I just wrapped it around the stand, and I'm like, good enough.
If only it was one of those ones from IKEA. That's that would have been even better.
So yeah,
man.
Jesus. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
you know what? I respect your MacGyverness.
That's how I roll. So today's topic, everybody, is going to be a live one. I guarantee you that. And I'm going to tell you how we came to this topic, or how I came to this topic, before I introduce the question. So when I first got on social media, I was all about the craft. I wanted woodworking. I wanted to learn. I wanted to see the best makers. I wanted to see the best quality stuff blow my mind. I want to see masters. That's what I was really, when I first got on social media. And what I quickly realized, and what started happening, is I definitely found some people like that who were like impressive as hell, and their craft was wonderful, and they were very well educated artists, and they, had a ton of experience. But I also started noticing this phenomenon where people who seemed like beginners to me, or maybe intermediates, had way bigger audiences than the masters, or people who I thought deserved a big audience because they were phenomenal at woodworking. There were these like people, and I think at this point we call them influencers in many cases, that didn't have the master level skills, but they had these gigantic audiences, and the people, like the audience, was just fawning over them, is how it seemed to me. They were like, oh my God, you're so good. This is so amazing. You're a master. And I'm looking at what they're making, and I'm thinking, what the fuck? Really? This is not master level. Like, you haven't seen master level, motherfucker. Like, if you think this is a master, you need to have your fucking head checked. Like, I was indignant. I was so angry. And I was like really pissed off by this. And Conrad's laughing because I know he feels the same way. And so I'm like, these fucking charlatans, they are good at selling themselves. They're entertaining. They get these massive audiences. People fucking piss all over them. Oh, you're so great. Oh, you're so great. And they have no clue what they're doing. They have no idea where the real bar is. They're all about like these huge audiences and making money. Like, and I was so dead set against it. And then with time, Eric, I started to see the world a little differently. I said, why am I so fucking angry? Am I jealous? That it's not me with a huge audience? Am I, why is this rubbing me the wrong way? And with time, I started to realize it's because I was viewing social media as a tool to bring us the best that craft had to offer. Like, this is an opportunity to get in touch with the finest craftsmen on the earth and to educate us. But I didn't realize that social media was also about entertaining people. There's an entertainment piece and there's an education piece. And that's what today's episode is about. It's what is social media really about? Is it about the craft? Is it about the entertainment? Is it about the education? Is it about all three? How do we sift this out? What is it really about?
That was a brilliant fucking introduction to the question. That was good. That was good, dog.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, Conrad, take it down. Go for it.
So, Conrad, I'll start by asking, did you have a similar experience when you first came into social media?
Yeah, very much. And I'm probably still I'm still very much interested in seeing really amazing work like that first and foremost. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people that I know personally and admire and respect as individuals, but ultimately, like if I go through the people that I'm following, most of those are people whose work I'm interested in. And so for me, it started off being about very much like you, very, very craft focused. I was looking for inspiration, looking to kind of connect, see more stuff that inspired me beyond, going through Woodwork magazine or Fine Woodworking. It was like, oh shit, there's this, whole new thing that gives me an opportunity to see more. And I'm still, that is still the primary driver for me, I think. But I have wrestled to, also noticed the same sort of phenomenon. And that's been kind of wrestling with something similar actually, is, okay, what exactly is going on, and what are the primary drivers? And I think I've also started wondering about, does that do a disservice to anybody who's pursuing craft? Because like you, there's people that I get a lot of inspiration from, and they've got very, very little of a very, very small audience. And how do those really highly skilled, very, very dedicated folks get noticed? And it seems like they're left out of the popularity contest as it becomes a more and more popularity contest based system.
Eric?
The disservice to the craft is the interesting thing to me. And there are so many parallels. I mean, let's take music, for example. Pop music, let's just go out on a limb. Pop music mostly sucks. Like, it's all the same shit, right? It's the same regurgitated bullshit. It's a business. You know how to crank out a hit. A bunch of 14 to 17-year-old people will listen to this over and over again, and they become diehard fans of that artist. And then the artist makes money on tour. The company makes money from the record sales and the singles and everything else. So, there's a lot of manipulation. There's a lot of problems there. But let's just broad strokes, everybody wins. Okay. The music doesn't win, but just because that's the state of what's being consumed by the majority of people in fits and spurts doesn't mean that good music is being hurt because of the existence of pop music. And in fact, there are some people who might come into music being like, listen, I'm a diehard Dua Lipa fan. Okay, great, fine. Like, to each their own.
I love Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa, she got a couple of fucking bops in there. I'm not gonna lie. She got a couple of bops.
Her voice is incredible, and she is the most gorgeous woman on the entire planet. Okay.
Interesting. As somebody who's currently engaged to the most gorgeous woman on the entire planet.
Well, okay,
that's called game, bro. She'll never hear that clip unless that's the one I pull for Instagram. But regardless, Dua Lipa, fine. Like, I listen to Dua Lipa's music from time to time. She's got some bops, but it's not groundbreaking. Right? She's regurgitating the same shit over and over. But somebody could potentially listen to Dua Lipa, be influenced to start picking up an instrument, start singing, and then through a series of events down the road, be led into something that actually is moving the form of music forward.
Right.
You're saying the light version of it is the gateway drug.
It is the gateway. And I think that's an important thing. Like, I live by what I call the Ratatouille principle.
Please.
Which is the Ratatouille principle is anyone can cook, and not that anyone
should cook.
Can be a great cook, right? Or anyone should cook, because that's not true. That's not true. But a great cook can come from anywhere.
Yes.
And I think the Ratatouille principle works because even the idea of pulling a profound philosophical idea from a Pixar movie kind of proves its own point. Like it's kind of
Eric, did you just make that up right now? The Ratatouille principle?
No, that's literally at the end of the movie. Is like anyone can cook, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the exposure to a thing is so deeply important at the very beginning of anybody's career that, listen, we just live in an age where teenagers are on their phone 24/7. I mean, hell, most of us adults are on our phone 24/7. And the exposure to a new thing could eventually lead somebody into the craft who could do something profoundly good for the craft.
I see. Okay. So we've started with some pro and con ideas, right? And just so the listeners know, the story I started out with and where Conrad's coming from, like that was sort of our old view. And Conrad, I know you're still craft first. I don't mean you've changed from that. But like what I said in my first opening statement was it was the old me. There's a totally, like my view of the world has totally been revamped. And through Eric in part, and through Keith in part, and through Jason Hibbs in part, like people who I know that care about the craft deeply, but also are not afraid to dip their feet in the entertainment side or the education side. So like, I just want to put that out there. Like that's not where I'm at currently.
Well,
but
where
I thought
are
it would
you
be
at
an interesting.
currently?
Well, Eric, it's complicated is where I'm at currently.
It's always complicated. I painted with broad strokes too, buddy.
So let's, you know what I like to do when something's complicated in science, what's good to do is break it down into its component parts and analyze them independently. So let's do that. Let's just analyze, what if social media was only craft, like high quality craft? Like, what would that social media look like?
It would look like a gallery.
Yeah. It would be like every piece is fucking mind-blowing. Like, but I think there wouldn't be that many posts because masterful work takes so much time.
And you'd need an overlord. Like, you would need someone to curate it because...
That's exactly what I mean by it's going to start to look like a gallery real quick. And then it's going to start to become alienating to the mass public. And then people aren't going to be interested in the craft because they see it as fucking hoity-toity bullshit.
And
everybody's just stroking each other's egos all the time,
right,
which is exactly the complaint you had at the beginning of the episode.
But it's unattainable. Like it doesn't offer a gateway or an entry point. It seems like you're looking 1,000 miles down the road and you're thinking, I could never do that. How am I going to, So I think it's a bit insurmountable. What if social media was just entertainment all the time?
Some might argue that it is.
Yeah. It seems to be shifting more and more to that being the primary driver.
So I think we can say that television is an entertainment form, right? There's not a lot of education happening on television.
Not much. Only Antiques Roadshow and like Nova and those kinds of programs.
Sure. And
but it's very rare.
They're sprinkled
but there's
in.
not many.
There's not a lot.
Eric.
And even those shows are edutainment, right?
Right.
I love that term. Eric, wait, Eric, that's an important term.
Okay. Can I define it? Are you about to ask me, are you going to marry this bitch?
No, I think it's worthwhile to pause. Edutainment.
Sure. I don't know like how Oxford would define it, but I would say it is something close to a perfect 50-50 blend of entertainment and education, which is to say that there are facts based in reality that you are presenting in a way that entertains, which is, in fairness, not dissimilar from how I taught preschool gymnastics. You're teaching them skills, but you're doing it with a smile and big energy. And so they're engaged. And you know what happens? They learn more because of it. Right. So it has its value. it has its value.
Oh, absolutely. And that's just not in primary school. Like that is like almost all instances with formal teaching. If there's a component where there's an enjoyment level and an entertainment level to it, there's benefits to that. Absolutely.
And that's the thing. I didn't want to hit it this early in the episode, but maybe we'll dive into it real quick. The idea that social media is entertainment and classes in education are proper education, I think is a little bit of a fallacy, because the best makers, the best craftspeople, the best designers aren't teaching, because they're actually the doers of the craft. Rarely are they teaching. And
oh my God, Eric.
Often they're shitty teachers. And so it doesn't, even if you get a chance to learn from them, it doesn't necessarily behoove you to sit in a classroom with them for a week or 2 weeks or 6 months, because they might be complete fucking assholes. Or they might just not know how to articulate what they're doing because it's so innate in them. So being a good teacher is in part being able to identify where the student is at and meet them there. But it's also in part being able to entertain them and entice them toward the next step. And so I think I'm a pretty damn good teacher. I'm not the best craftsperson on the planet. They're two separate skills.
Right.
And I think that's an important distinction when we talk about social media. Now, again, I think a lot of social media is bullshit entertainment. Like it's break things loudly to catch people's attention. And that's unfortunate. And that, I think, doesn't do anything to benefit the craft. But there are people out there who are really, really good at the craft and really good at articulating their thoughts and making videos that can encourage people to then go take a class with good teachers. And even if they're not the best craftspeople, like, again, sometimes you don't want to learn from the best of the best because they're not good at telling you why they're doing what they're doing or how you can get better, because all they can see is
their one way.
Yeah. And it's the way that works for them, and that's fine. Yeah. But they can't consider how other people do it.
All right. So if social media was just craft, it would be like a gallery overseen by the overlord. If it was just entertainment, which it almost is, TikTok is getting dangerously close to that, I think. It's almost there. Now, what if it was just education, like purely education? Every time you open Instagram, it's just like an
It's a great cure for insomnia. Like honestly, if you listen, do you guys know who David Charlesworth is?
No.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He was a British guy, made some really nice things, had a bunch of DVDs with Lee Nielsen on like how to sharpen a chisel and things. Pure education. No, not a lick of charisma in that video. And some people really love that. Some people would talk to me about how incredible David's DVDs were, because it is no nonsense. Here's how you do the thing. It's not cut down for time. It's just 30 minutes of him flattening the back of a fucking chisel. And the majority of people are like, why the fuck did I just watch 3 hours of some dude with no personality whatsoever just telling me how to lap the back of a chisel? Because it's just not interesting when it's that raw education.
All right. So I think what we're coming to is an agreement that any one of these disciplines like entirely would not be great, although entertainment seems to be the one that fares best, actually, if it was a pure discipline. So I think the bottom line, or what we come to as a summary statement, is that all of us are mixes of these three pieces. And Conrad, that's something you and I kind of were like realizing, was it 2 weeks ago as we talked about this?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
That we're all mixing these three things without even noticing it. Like, I think, Conrad, you and I sort of had a moment where we're like, holy shit, like it's more a mixture than I ever really appreciated. But once we separated them out and could like define them, then it was clear that we're all mixture. So what is your, Conrad, if you had to give yourself a percent, what percent are you focused on craft or entertainment or education? What percent would you give each of those to define you as 100%? And then we're going to go Eric, and then we're going to go me.
That's a good question. I would say it's well over half. It would be craft, and then education would actually be another bigger chunk. So say 60% craft, maybe 30 or 40, probably 30 education, and then maybe 10 entertainment. But I also, it's probably not that extreme.
Was that 90% that you just gave me?
I'd say 50, 30, 20. Let's call it 50, 30, 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the entertainment component would be the smallest, but here's maybe an interesting tie back to the podcast that just got released. If you swap that out with storytelling that is integrated into it's a thread that can go through all of that. Then that would change those percentages pretty significantly.
How would it change them? Give me new
that's
numbers.
So good, Conrad.
Well, no, it's just like, because you can be, well, I mean, again, the one time that I've done any teaching, I found I was doing a lot of teaching through explaining a story about a thing, and this is why this works for me.
Anecdotal evidence, yeah.
That's entertaining.
Yeah.
That's entertaining.
Yeah.
Which was, I mean, everybody enjoys that. It was done through a story, so they could relate to it. And it was a bit of it felt a little bit like a perfect storm, in a positive way, because it just flowed really comfortably. So I think it's possible that you can actually, like, if I substitute the word entertainment for storytelling, it gets.
There's your bias, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's totally a bias.
I'm almost disappointed because I was so ready to push back on you about how much of an entertainer you are, because you are too. You are, like, so. I was. You
had the elbow drop all ready to go.
I was ready to fight, man. So clearly your main focus is the craft, right? But even in the presentation of, like, your photos are super sexy. That's entertainment. That's sex appeal, right? Like, that's what that is. And you can call it whatever, storytelling. Like, let's talk about the line and but without the visual sexiness of it, without it being eye-catching, then, like, it lacks a little something.
Yep, totally.
And fine, call it storytelling, call it entertainment, whatever you want, but that's not an insignificant portion of what you do and how you relate to the client.
No, and that just actually occurred to me listening to you talk about it, because I found myself really agreeing with you on every step of the way that you walked through that. And so you were kind of witnessing me in real time, rethinking what actually is it here. And yeah, I realized, swap those two out, and it's that's a quirk of mine that I've got to think on.
Oh, wow.
Well, and very good. I don't know that's. I don't think biases are a bad thing inherently, if we understand that we have them and acknowledge that they exist, and then they can inform how we go about, meandering through the world.
Yep.
So I don't think it's unfair to say I would rather, like, I call myself a woodworker rather than a carpenter, but, like, they're interchangeable, right? It's just the story I tell myself is the verbiage we choose. And I understand the bias that I have, because when I introduce myself to a person and say I'm a carpenter, they assume I'm a framer. Right. And if I say I'm a woodworker, they go like, oh, okay, basic white guy. And if I say I'm a designer, then they think I'm a fancy bitch. So, like, there's different ways that you can manipulate, based on your verbiage.
Yeah. Try introducing yourself as a plane maker. I mean, they don't know what the fuck that is.
I'm sorry. You make plates or you make airplanes? What are we?
Yeah.
All right, Eric, what's your percentage breakdown?
What were the three categories again?
It was craft, entertainment, and education.
Craft, entertainment, and education. Oh, are we looking at my career at this moment overall? Or are we looking at, because different components have different ratios?
Your choice.
What draws you in? Like, if you're going through, Instagram or whatever, and you are making decisions very, very quickly based on what you're looking at, what's going to draw you in?
The story is probably primarily going to draw me in. Like, what's happening? What am I Why am I giving you my time? And that could be the object. That could be just somebody who's really fucking good at telling, like audibly telling a story, you know? And that's the craft in that, right? Like knowing how to open a story, knowing how to lead you along. And it's not necessarily just like bullshit sensationalism. Sometimes it's just a really well-crafted, you know, Jack and Jill went up the hill, fetch a pail of water. Like there's an arc to it. So I think that's the thing that draws me in the most. But if I were to break down my work at the moment, and this is, interestingly, this is a thing that I've been really sitting with the last couple of weeks, last like 3 weeks, even before this question came up in the group chat. Because I just kind of hit a wall. Like I ran face first into this wall, and I'm at this moment where I just don't give a fuck about social media right now, you know? And I've already decided this episode will probably come out in like fucking October at this point. So I've already decided that I'm not going to put out any YouTube videos in July or August.
Wow.
Because what I feel like I don't have anything to say. And as I've been sitting with that, I think that I've been speaking for so long that I haven't had any time to listen. And so consequently, like, I feel like what I'm saying is not important, inconsequential. And so the decision then becomes, do I continue to speak because that's how I make money and it's the easiest path forward? Or do I take a moment to stop and listen and sit with myself and figure out where I actually want my career to go?
Oof. Wow.
It's a hard one.
Good for you. That's a
So that's kind of a roundabout way to get to the answer, which is to say, I think if you asked me a month ago, I would have said probably 50% craft. Let's just take social media as an example. Maybe 40% craft, 40% storytelling, 10% teaching. You know, like the storytelling and the teaching are somewhat interchangeable. Yeah. I feel like, at least in my YouTube videos. But I've realized that even though I tell myself the object always has to take precedence, that slowly over the course of the last 2.5 or 3 years, however long I've been making YouTube videos full time, that ratio has slowly shifted to the point where the entertainment, the video, the doing the thing on a schedule, the running of a business has overtaken the object in the craft. And I think that's a big part of the reason why I'm in this moment of reorientation is trying to figure out, like, I don't think that's the thing I want, you know?
Wow. That is
Eric.
That is amazing. And congratulations for recognizing that, because that's a really, really big shift.
It is a big shift. And to be clear, like I'm not saying that I think I'll quit YouTube tomorrow. You know?
You may go back.
Yeah. I don't know what it looks like, but what I do know at this moment is the thing that I'm really sitting with is I have often made fun of and roasted American television for getting to the end of a story and then just continuing because the thing's still making money. You know, like you get to the end of an arc.
You talked about this on a previous episode.
I talk about it all the time because it's the worst possible thing that you could do to an entity, which is like get to the end and go, yeah, but like it's still profitable. So let's give it 3 more seasons to the point where it's just fucking drudgery. And
it kills the magic.
It kills the whole magic, right? And do you guys know who Danny McBride is?
Yep.
Yeah. Have you watched The Righteous Gemstones?
I have not.
Oh, it's so fucking good. It's so good. You should watch it.
I'm writing it down.
So Danny McBride, writer, comedian, TV guy. The Righteous Gemstones is his most successful show, right? By far, leaps and bounds. Huge success on HBO. He was in the midst of writing the 4th season, and what he said he realized is he was writing the ends of these storylines, and so he decided, like, part of the way through filming, that it was the end of the series. And he was just like, that's it. And HBO was like, are you sure you don't want to do another? Because it's like, it's working. And he was like, I'm concluding these stories. Like, I gotta end it here.
Right.
And like, that's if whenever the end comes on YouTube or on social media for me, like, that's the thing that I want to do, is recognize that it is the end and then refocus back to the craft. Again, right. I'm not saying I'm doing that in this moment. What I'm saying is I've realized the balance, those ratios has moved away from the object taking the priority. And I don't know. I'm currently contending with how to reorient those ratios in a way that I feel comfortable with my career moving forward.
Right.
Wow,
right.
Eric, that's really insightful of you. Self-insightful. That's huge. Very few people take the time to do that and admit that to themselves, because it's like you committed yourself to this thing and you went whole hog. But to take a step back just based on yourself and be like, I don't know how I feel anymore. Like, that was good then, but who am I now?
And in who do I want to be in the future moving forward? Wow. You know, I think that's really important, because I know, if I know one thing, I know that I will continue to make things out of wood for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm presumably I'm not going to make YouTube videos for the rest of my life, you know?
Right.
So what's the priority? Is it making money while it's there, or is it continuing to develop skill and master the craft and hopefully have a positive impact on the craft?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Conrad.
Yeah, no, I mean, what's the other amazing thing about this is what you have just identified is something that there's a fear that I've had from the very beginning, that something would come along and derail the focus on the work. And so, like, the idea of like sponsorship or anything like that, I've always just made the assumption that is going to be kryptonite for me, because it has the ability to distract from what it is that I'm wanting to achieve and wanting to do. So I'm not quite sure where that came from. If that was I'm not sure what informed it, but I know it has always been there, to just push away all sorts of things that potentially derail me from focusing on what it is that I'm really focusing on, which is exploring how high is up.
How far can I push this
phrase that? How high is up is a good fucking question, Conrad. God damn. Right? What are some of the things, and Paul, I do want to hear your answer to the question, but Conrad, what are some of the things, as somebody who runs his own business and is not a part of social media as a business, and social, you get business through social media, I presume, but
I do, yeah.
Social media is not paying you directly. It's not the business.
Yeah, no.
So what are some of the distractions that either you're contending with now or have contended with in the past and have decided to push back against?
Good question. So in the world of social media, it has been a number of people asking for, hey, and this is small scale, but saying, hey, we've got this product. We're trying to find people that can help, promote it, show it, whatever. We'll send you a box of widgets, and we want X number of, whatever a month, or whatever the parameters are. Are you interested? And I just flat out say no. I appreciate the invitation. I use lots of products that lots of people make. If I love them, I'm happy to talk about them. I don't want anything for it. Because to me, that just starts affecting how I think about things. And I don't want to have to, I love the tools I've got, and the people who have made them for me. I will promote them to the ends of the earth, because I believe in it. And that has really stopped happening, but there was a long period of time where that was pretty constant.
So what about outside of social media? So I think
I was just going to
say, I want to know is, like, people assume that being on social media is a distraction as a business entity, but but also running a business has a million distractions, whether like distractions existed before social media.
Absolutely.
So outside of the social media venue, what are some of those things that you've had to push back against?
One of the really early decisions was to only go direct to customer. I had a lot of people, like when Joe Steiner and I started this, and we sort of, kind of introduced ourselves to the world in whatever sense that might have meant. I had phone calls from quite a few tool distributors or companies that distribute tools, like all over the world, saying, "Hey, heard about your product. What are your wholesale price? What are your wholesale pricing like? What's your structure? What's your everything?" They wanted to know what the system was, and I just politely declined, and I just said, "I'm sorry, I'm not interested in having somebody else talk about my work. It's just not. I'm just not interested in that." And everybody universally said, "Well, you can't do that. Like you won't survive. Like you won't be able to build a business. Like how are you going to build a business if you don't have somebody representing you?" Well, I attended, I went to England once a year for years and years. I went to California once a year for years and years and did various shows. Like Lee Nielsen shows were great. There were enough little small shows, and it was worthwhile to do those, because I was not looking at this as a quick business. I was looking at this from the standpoint of, I'm going to grow this slowly, organically, because it allows me then to adjust accordingly. Like if something blows up, trying to keep up with the demand of that can be catastrophic, because then all of a sudden your risk goes off the charts high. Mm-hmm. You've got to make massive investments. You need to hire people. You need to do all sorts of other things. And if then that just falls off, you're done. So I was very, very deliberate about growing very, very, very slowly. And Joe, for the couple of years that we worked together, he was totally on board with that as well. So kind of avoiding the reseller thing. All of those people, and even customers too, were kind of surprised that I didn't go down that road. So even a gallery, I had some stuff at a gallery a month ago. I was helping out a friend who has a magazine, and this gallery wanted to feature a number of the artists that were in the magazine over a period of time. And they were all interested in, what kind of percentage I would give them. And I said, "I'm not giving you a damn thing. None of this is for sale. Like I'm doing this, I'm displaying this because I'm a friend of Chris and I really enjoy the work that they're doing, and I'm wanting to help him out because he asked." So my friend Chris asked me to, participate in this gallery exhibition, and I said, "Yeah, no problem, happy to do it." And the gallery said, "Well, what kind of a percentage? I mean, what happens if somebody wants to commission something?" And I said, "Then, send them my way, but I'm not giving you a cut." That's like, why the hell would I do that? I understand why a gallery exists, but
sure.
I'm just not playing that game.
Yeah.
Because in order to go through a gallery, I would have to add anywhere from 50 to 30% onto the cost of what I'm doing. Well, that screws over 4 years of people that are patiently waiting for work.
Yeah.
So why? Yeah.
So I recently
like me.
The video that I interviewed my former teacher is going to come out this next week. So whenever this comes out, people will have an idea of how many episodes we record ahead of time. But he said something in that interview that, like, when I was asking him for advice for people, building a furniture business, one of his main points of emphasis was don't grow too fast. It's take your time. There's no reason to overextend yourself, because in this business, it rarely works out because we're not scalable, right? Like,
no, that's right.
You could do your work the way you do it, and it has interest. It has like, there's a certain, I don't even know what it is. Like, it's a spirituality to the object because it's been handled and manipulated, and there's something about it. And the second it comes off a machine and a CNC line, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking it. I'm not trying to make a hierarchy, but it is a different object. So
it's a different thing. It's a different thing. Yeah.
And that creation of an object with spirit, that's not scalable.
No.
You know?
No, excellent point. And I think part of the other challenge of a business, I mean, there's a whole other discussion about how does one run a one person business?
Yeah.
Because you're flopping hats, you're switching hats nonstop some days. But it's such a huge component of it is knowing, and this is what you just described earlier, is if you go down this one road, being aware of what you're giving up, what you're swapping out, right? We all have 100% that we can dedicate to those three areas that we were talking about. And if one starts becoming more dominant and overshadowing the other ones, it's at their peril. And so continually just recognizing, okay, this decision of having a reseller impact all sorts of things that rightly or wrongly are really valuable to me, and I really cherish them, and I'm not willing to budge because they matter that much. And so just kind of identifying what those things are. I mean, if you're really aware of that kind of stuff and you kind of plot it all out, I mean, a lot of businesses will actually almost build themselves.
Yeah.
Like the path will be actually pretty clear, because if these are the things that I'm not willing to compromise on for whatever reason. These things I'm a little bit flexible on. These things I actually don't really care about. It can become pretty clear of what you have, a path forward or a path through.
I agree with you 100%. But I do think we live in a time, and I don't just mean like 2025. I mean, in the post-industrial age of America, where growing a business slowly is not an option to 97.5% of people who run a business. Because it's just like, if you don't, year one, fine, you made, $15,000. Year two, if you're not making 50, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, right. What do you think? You just made $15,000 last year. You think you're just magically going to fucking figure out how to quadruple what you just fucking made? That's not how it works, dog.
Yeah. That's absolutely. So the first 3 years when Joe and I were starting the business, I was still working full time.
Yeah.
So basically had to grow our business to another full-time business, which meant I was effectively doing 2 full-time businesses.
Yep.
And that's the advantage of youthful exuberance.
That's fair. Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, Paul. Hit us with it, buddy. You've been sitting patiently for a long time.
No, I've been loving the conversation. Conrad, I definitely identify with your slow growth mentality. My science job, I have been at for 17 years, the same job, the same company. And we have incredibly slow, consistent, safe growth. And all of us believe in it. And now all of us have flourished, and our families have benefited because of that slow, steady mentality. And I credit my CEO for having that mentality as part of his outlook. In this crazy fucking world, he already went into the crazy world. He worked at crazy jobs, and he knew that is not a sustainable, good, healthy path for families. And he's like, I'm going to make my own company. This is back in 2001. I'm going to make my own company, and we're going to do it our way. And we did. And the 8 of us or 7 of us have been together for 17 years doing it our way. We own the company. We have no board of directors. No one tells us what to do. No one tells us how much to earn. It's up to us. And we are slow, steady, stable, consistent. And it's a wonderful job, and I'll never fucking leave. I love it. Right. So Conrad, I viscerally resonate with what you said. And I've taken that approach to my own Copper Pig. So for me, my percentage is like, I'm mostly craft. I am definitely mostly craft. I just want to make things. Everyone says, Paul, when are you starting your YouTube? And I'm like, I'm not. Sorry. I know. They're like, yeah, but you're leaving so much money on the table. I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
I'm taking time off the table. Time and enjoyment, because I can't get that back. I have enough money. I have a job. So like, I don't need money. I need to enjoy what I'm doing and feel good about it. So I would say I'm like 70% craft, 20% education, and like 10% entertainment. And to be quite honest, I feel like I could do better with the entertainment part. Like, so I'm thinking like, how can I be more engaging? How can I make this more accessible? Not for the sake of like making more money or whatever, but I think it would just draw people in more to the stories behind the pieces and make them feel like more a part of it. So I'm actually working on trying to like on the entertainment piece. Like, I'm thinking like, how can I be more engaging?
I think that's fair. You do. I don't think those ratios are incorrect. But I do think it's a fair acknowledgement. Like, we have conversations regularly about like how are we going to approach an episode differently? How are we going to change the arc of this episode?
Yeah.
How are we going to like, and that is entertainment, right? Like, this podcast is entertainment. It's deep conversation, but it's entertainment.
Education. And it's education. I mean,
it's education to an extent, but I think like, I want to separate entertainment out from necessarily being associated with a negative thing. Because entertainment can be a good thing. Like, listen, that's fair. Conversing with friends is entertainment. Even if you learn a thing, And I think people identifying with our stories and our experiences, it's still entertainment. And you continue from the first episode to now, you're infinitely better as a host of this podcast. We talk about how to get better at it consistently.
Yeah, we do.
Know?
But I also think, having listened to every single episode right from the beginning, that the thing that can always continue to draw me in was during the course of the episode, it had me thinking, and it had me. It was inspirational at times. It had me question my own understanding at times. So I don't know if that's that is a component of education.
It is,
but to me, that is what that I saw the real value of it is, and why I just enjoy participating in it so much, because the opportunity to maybe, inspire somebody or help somebody maybe think about something differently, like you just did for me, like, that is amazing.
I leave these podcasts sometimes changed. Like, whatever we talk about has deeply lodged itself in my brain, and I'm changed. I think about it in the future. I think about it all the time. That's why I did this podcast, Eric. I mean, I love BSing with you. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But if it was just us BSing.
So do I.
No, but if it was just us BSing, like, okay, we'd run out of BS. But you and I and Mary, we made the decision from the beginning. This is about the questions. I want to learn. I want to learn about this. Then I want to learn about that. Then we want to learn about this. And that's why I did this podcast, is because I wanted to learn. So for me, it was education, number one, without a doubt. Now, the entertainment part you have taught me is so important to keeping people's attention. So
nobody wants to be David Charlesworth.
No, I've listened to you. You've made suggestions.
I'm just shitting on a dead man all episode.
Eric, you've made great suggestions, and I've been all ears, and I've tried them, and that's been great too. So I've learned as well.
So now, I if I may, I guess I'm still stuck on this, the differentiating of education and entertainment, and there are fair reasons and times to separate those two things. But like, these are the conversations we have when the microphone is off, right?
Correct.
The three of us.
Pretty much.
So like, at what point is it just because we have a microphone in front of us that we then have to differentiate education and entertainment and not just like being humans together?
No.
It's a grayscale, right?
No, it is. It is.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah. I think this is something that Paul and I've talked about kind of offline too, is, when you frame something as, this versus this, it pits them against each other immediately, when in reality, it's usually the two. It's usually both.
Yeah.
And it's just understanding, well, which one takes the more dominant role in a particular instance, and because you're continually juggling, right? So it's not an either or. I think it's both, and just kind of recognizing that the teeter-totter doesn't get too out of whack.
So funny you should say that, Conrad, because at dinner I posed this episode to my family, and the first thing my 17-year-old daughter said was, "Dad, this isn't an issue. All three can coexist. This isn't an."
That's that Gen Z mindfulness right there, dog. She said, "You can be whatever the fuck you want to be, baby."
She goes, all three coexist, and they just kind of like morph into like you said, what's dominant at this time in the conversation, and it switches to that. So it's far more fluid and connected and interconnected than. But like I said from the beginning of the episode, Eric, get that fucking shit-eating grin off your face.
That just exists there, baby.
Fuck off. As I said at the beginning of the episode, scientifically, it's good to like break things into their component parts, think about them separately, and then once you understand them, reemerge the issue, right? So I think that the fact that we're coming to this consensus that they're kind of sloppily, or happily interconnected is really the case. My wife said at the dinner table, it's a win-win. Education, entertainment, craft. She goes, it's a win-win. There's something for everyone.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, no matter what you're looking for in social media, it's there. You just have to find your people.
Well, that would be an interesting question to ask. Like, what the ratio of type of content, and let's just break it down into those three categories, right? Entertainment.
Wait, Eric, before you ask this question, remember this question because I want it. I want
it.
But you just said there's these three categories, and I just have to add this. I have to. My wife's like, why only three? She's like, there's a fourth, and it's Eric's OnlyFans. No, she said for those with the video feed, Eric's in a nice little tank top right there. There's a fourth category. She's like, I don't post to social media because of I'm not trying to entertain people. I'm not trying to educate them. And I'm not, it's not about craft. I'm using social media as a daily diary and for accountability. It's like a scrapbook of my life. I just post every day because it makes me feel accountable to do my run. And I can look back when I'm feeling down about myself, and I look at all the times I ran and all the times I posted that I ran. I can kind of look back almost like it's like the modern equivalent of a photo album for me. So that's a fourth category that I hadn't even considered coming into this episode. That's really
interesting because we've talked about how I feel or have felt in moments of insecurity or anxiety of looking around being like, okay, this exists because I made it, right? This exists. These exist. And there's physical evidence of the work that I've done in the life that I've lived. And if you don't work in a physical medium, like a photo book or Instagram, I could see how that takes that same role. That's an interesting thing.
I thought that was a great fucking take. It caught me like a curveball. That hadn't even entered my brain, and I was like, I'm so glad I asked.
So how many times do either of you guys, when you see somebody whose work you admire or you find entertaining, whatever it was that drew you in, how often will you go to their Instagram page? I'm not on Facebook, or their Facebook page, and just spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes and just see, who is this person? What are they about?
Often.
What makes them tick? So do I. I'm just wondering how many people do that, because
rarely.
Yeah.
So for me, I need multiple exposures. Because anybody can accidentally do a thing well. You can. Sure. Anybody can accidentally make a hit. Fucking Marcy Playground was on the radio for a hot second. Anybody can accidentally do a thing.
Marcy.
Yeah, that was a deep cut. I feel like our audience is old enough. They know. They're already humming. They know. But if I see you do a thing 2 or 3 times well, then I'm like, okay, who's this person? Let me dip in. What I have interesting, or maybe not interestingly, but what I've noticed, what I find interesting about my own self is even fully into my career on social media, I was still very hesitant to ever even like posts. Like like if my friends posted it, hit them with a like, whatever. But if I see a funny thing, I would just be like, huh, that's funny, or huh, that's interesting. And then I would just scroll past for whatever reason. Like I almost wouldn't want to leave a footprint there, and then it wouldn't be until I see the person enough, I see that their work is interesting and good, and I follow, and then I would start to like their posts.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's something about just like, I'm trying not to engage with social media, even though that's where my business exists.
So, Eric, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
So, what I was wondering is, we were talking about the ratios of categories of posts, reels, whatever that exists on social media. I'm wondering, like, we're out here as craftspeople who care about the craft and want to be good at the craft, bemoaning the fact that there's not more craftspeople on Instagram posting good shit. I wonder how many craftspeople are actually on Instagram. Like, I wonder what the ratio of really good craftspeople to really good craftspeople who have Instagrams is, because it's probably like pretty fucking small.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So I guess what I'm trying to link is like the ratio of people who go to social media for pure entertainment to the ratio of people who are posting on social media to entertain. I wonder how that relationship correlates. Similarly, I wonder how the relationship of like craftspeople on social media to crafts, like people looking for high quality craft on social media, correlates, because we see nobody's posting good shit, but I feel like the number of people looking for good shit on social media is probably very small as well.
Right. Huh. Interesting.
I don't know.
Eric, I guess the takeaway from that is, are you saying most people use social media to be entertained, not necessarily to look for high quality craft?
Yeah. I'm saying that like we're out here bitching and moaning that we see the woodworking world posting bullshit out there. But I think probably the majority of people who stumble upon the maker universe side of social media I see. Are just looking for bullshit entertainment. Like they just want to be like, I didn't realize you could build a chicken coop. That's cool. Swipe, that's it.
Okay, yeah.
That's my wife. So maybe another question would be, if you woke up tomorrow morning and made a deliberate choice to say, today I want to be inspired. I want to try and find work or something that I can really sink my teeth into, spend time with, looking for something that's going to knock your socks off. Yep. Where would you go? Like, how would you go about that?
I got you. I would go to the MFA or the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. I'd go to a high quality museum, or I'd go to my saved items on Instagram that I've curated for like 8 years. Oh, okay. These are things that I caught in a moment and I was like, oh God, that's good.
Yeah.
That is so fucking good. And I have about 150 posts in that save item. It's almost like my own personalized inspiration bank. And I just go there and I just like, oh my God, it blows my head off because I've curated this for 8 years and it's like inspiration central. That's where I go.
Would you ever call a friend? So like, would you ever, talk to somebody and say, hey, I'm just looking for something. Anybody that you've come across who just kind of knocked your... I mean, that happens with music all the time. And so I'm wondering if there's a similar thing that happens or could happen. I mean, it would actually be a really interesting thing to do, to say, hey, or to be in an environment where I could just, if I know that that's something that you're open to, just say, hey, I came across this thing and fire it off to you and say, check this out. I think you'll dig this.
That's such an interesting reversal, though, because a lot of my friends and I will do that, right? We'll be like, hey, saw this person's making dope shit, like check them out. And that's great. That's wonderful. And so there's a lot of new stimuli coming my way often. But I've never tried the reverse where I go like, hey, I'm looking for something. Like, what are you looking at right now? you know?
Right.
Show me something interesting. Show me what's inspired. Don't show me what you think will inspire me. Show me what inspires
you. Yeah.
That's an interesting question.
Conrad, I've never thought that way either. Never.
Yeah.
Not once. That's a very interesting question.
I know, like, there are certain resources that I think are, I don't know that inexhaustible is the right way to phrase it, but books, like good visual books that I can come back to and look at and thumb through. And I might see the same things over and over, but depending on the context, I might see it slightly differently.
Right. Or how you're feeling. Yeah.
Like
who you are.
And it might, like, one line of it might jump out to me in a different way that I didn't think about before because I wasn't looking for it. But now with this piece, I see that and I can pull that element and manipulate it in this other way.
Right.
And I think similarly, I tend to go to similar people's work on social media. Like the first person, when you said, like, where do you look when you just want to see something that just kind of that you just fall in love with? There's this lady, Makono Smith. I think she's out in California somewhere. We've chatted a couple of times on Instagram, but never like lengthy conversations. And she makes these tiny little objects. I know she's Asian. I don't know what her background is. In it seems to me, and from my viewpoint of ignorance, that heavily influences her not only aesthetic but the scale with which she works. They're all very small objects, but they're just so fucking beautiful, every goddamn one of them. And I constantly am like, your work is literally perfect. And I just, like, she'll just do these little turnings, you know, or she'll carve a little spoon or make a little bowl, and I'm like, I don't know what it is, but your lines and your forms are gorgeous. And I just go and look at them and I'm like, to your point, Conrad, I'm like, that's what social media should be, man.
Yeah.
It's just, you see the thing and you're like, fuck, I'm so glad that she's making things.
Yeah.
Because the world needs more of what she makes.
Yes. And I can't wait to run out in the shop and take that and see where it pushes me, right? Mm-hmm. Or see, yeah.
All right. I have an orthogonal question to all of what we've discussed.
Orthogonal?
Meaning like another axis that we haven't touched on yet.
You just gonna fucking casually drop orthogonal in this bitch?
That's a sign. Sorry.
Isn't that a dinosaur?
I work with my hands for a living, Paul. I don't know what fucking orthogonal means.
I have another question, Eric, that bears on everything.
We couldn't afford orthogonal work when I was a teenager. That's when my teeth were all fucked
Eric,
up.
You're very fond of Venn diagrams, so let's make a Venn diagram out of this shit.
Venn diagrams and Punnett squares. That's all I got, guys.
I swear, every episode, Eric talks about a Venn diagram. Okay, so, Eric, what's the Venn diagram between these types of things, like whether social media is a craft or you're using it for entertainment or education? How does that interact with money? Does one make more money than another?
Well, yeah. I mean, the wider the audience, the more money is to be made, right?
So, which is, yeah, go ahead.
Well, so to Conrad's earlier example of, like, if you're making objects one by one, like, business people will tell you can't run a business that way because you need to produce for a wider audience so it's more consumable. Mm-hmm. And similarly, like, if I'm making one piece of furniture at a time, and that's, even if you're good at what you're doing, it's not going to pay the way you think it's going to pay if you haven't been there. And so making some consumable part of the business for a wider audience makes more money, hands down.
So, yeah, but what I'm talking about is, like, can you make more money if you featured craft? Can you make more money if you featured an entertainment page? Or can you make more money
for social media specifically?
Yeah, or do you make more money as an educator on social media?
There are people, I don't know about more, but there are people who make a lot of money in the education field. Like, there's a ton of science channels out there, you know, and they are in the millions of subs with hundreds of thousands to millions of views of video. There's entertainment components to that, kind of like, I think Bill Nye was kind of the archetype for that, and that's great. Like, Bill Nye taught a lot of science to a lot of young people, including myself. So I think there's value there. The broader audience is entertainment because everybody just wants to check the fuck out sometimes. Like, we're no different, like listening to music, again, like listening to interesting, engaging new music is great. If you did nothing but that, it would turn into noise because you can't consume and process all of it. So we fall back on shit that we already know, which is just then entertainment, like it's not numbing, but it's comforting. And the craft, I mean, our niche is so small. It's so small. You're never going to build massive audiences unless you go the route of a couple of particular YouTubers who I won't mention by name, but I think we can intuit who I'm going to mention lives in the state of Pennsylvania. And that's pure entertainment. And you know what? I can't knock somebody whose aim is to run a business and not to move the craft forward. Like, that's fine too. I think there's space for that too.
Okay. Another question that came up: can you compensate for a deficit in one area by being extra good or way better in another area?
Yeah, that's what charisma is, dog. Like, that's what the kids call it, the Riz. Yes, 100%. You can be a very mediocre craftsperson and do really well, even if outside of social media, even running a business, because you can sell an object.
Does that set the craft back?
No, I think those people have always existed. And those people will always exist.
See, Conrad, I feel like you would think that does set the craft back. You're using the craft as your fucking bitch to make money. You're not trying to advance it. You're fucking using it like a cheap, whatever.
Yeah, I
think. What a bite of the tongue.
You're bleeding out your mouth. I think that for me, the danger has always been that if it gets to a scale where it is that is the dominant thing, I do think it is possible then for the craft to then suffer because of that. Because the accessibility is a really important component. So if you're looking for inspiration, but you don't know where to go, then what do you do? Likewise, if you're wanting to get into woodworking or any craft-based thing, and you find you get some information and you find it, if you are inclined to think, okay, this was really great, what's next? What's the next thing? What's the next whatever? What's the next aspect to it? And so you're continually, wanting to figure out how high is up, right? You push the bar somewhere, you try and get to it, and you go, oh, this is great. I love this. Push it a little more and see where you go. That may not be how everyone operates, but I think there's a point at which if people don't have access to inspiration or don't have access to being able to see what really, truly exceptional work even looks like, even if it's in their own field or not, they stop even wondering, well, what is even possible? I'm probably making a lot more of it than I should, but when that disappears, that just sends up a red flag for me of like, it feels like a little bit like it's a bit of a slippery slope.
And if everything becomes about entertainment and monetizing this platform, then what you're saying, like the loss of the excellence in lieu of money and fame, that's the slippery slope you're talking about.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think there's real value in somebody who says, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna spend my lifetime trying to figure out and get really, really good at this thing, making this thing. And come hell or high water, that is my focus. There's going to be little meanders, have kids, get married, whatever, life goes on, whatever. But if that is singularly the focus, I know a lot of people who they've made those kinds of choices, and it feels like that the idea of that, even knowing that exists as an option, needs to be preserved. If that makes, I'm not sure if I'm making sense.
No, you are, and I don't disagree with you. And I admit that there is more noise now than at least I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Oh, Eric,
like, there's so much.
Yes,
noise.
There's a ton of noise.
But I also don't think that maybe it's not giving enough credit to, or maybe it's not putting enough responsibility on the viewer, the taker in of social media, the consumer.
That it's on them.
That it is incumbent upon them to take some responsibility for
what they're
how
consuming.
they traverse and how they go about it. And they have the capacity to identify bullshit from not bullshit.
That's a good point.
And,
That's
and
fair.
like it's you can't be spoon-fed everything all the time always. And like there's always going to be bullshit out there. And I think, 30 years ago, before social media, there was a lot of like you could go to craft shows and there was a lot of bullshit, and people go, well, you're a woodworker, you're running a business, you're selling shit. And like those things still exist. And I think we would still be like, well, that's not high craft. That's not like the real craft.
Yeah.
It was that damaging things. I think you put some responsibility on the viewer to say, if you want to go do this and if you want to be good at it, then wade through the muck and figure out what's good and what's not. And you'll make mistakes and it'll be a struggle. But it was a struggle for me in the beginning. And I think Paul, probably for you, Conrad. I'm not sure.
No, for sure. Yeah.
To go like, oh shit, this is the thing I want to do. How do I find the people who are really fucking good at it?
Eric, that's a really interesting point. That's very good. That's not on the maker, the social media makers, but also the viewers.
Yeah.
There's a co-responsibility, I think.
Oh, absolutely there is.
Yeah.
And how do people learn the skills to be able to call bullshit when that needs to be called? Like, so that's the skill of learning how to like we've all talked about how we self-critique our own work, right? How do we know?
Yeah. That's
a component of that. Like, so if I look at somebody else's work and I go, yeah, there's some things about that are interesting, but there's some things about that's just not going to fly. And so how do you learn to know better?
You learn and you make mistakes, but you learn and you take the time, and it takes years. It takes so much fucking time to figure it. It's like when you were a kid, you thought your dad was the fastest fucking man on the planet, right? You couldn't beat that fucker in a foot race. No way, no how. And then at some point you went, oh shit, actually he's just kind of overweight and he's an alcoholic. I could do this. I could backpedal faster than him. Like but that took 16 years, right?
Right.
It just takes time. And I think
and that's
the thing
why
that we're contending with.
That's why the slow business is helpful.
Sure.
Because it actually does fend off a whole bunch of mistakes, I think.
Yeah. It gives you time to make mistakes and figure it all out. I think that's maybe more than anything, that's the thing that frustrates me about social media, is the belief that if it doesn't happen tomorrow, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dog, you're going to suck tomorrow. I've been doing this. I have been chasing this dream for coming up on 20 years. And there are days where I'm still like, I don't know that I'm very good at this.
Yeah.
It's just what happens. And it took a long time to make anything. I was talking to my mom on the drive home today, and she was talking to somebody about who liked the YouTube channel. And this person asked, they were like, well, was he always good at furniture making? And even my mom was like, nah, he sucked at the beginning, dog, but like he figured it out. It just takes time and years in practice.
Yeah.
All right. So we're getting long in the tooth at this point, but I would like to end this conversation because it's been fascinating. Really, I've learned a lot. I'd like to end this on a lightning round, what we call. Okay. And what that means is y'all motherfuckers got to keep your answers short. That's what that means. Okay.
Neither of our strong suits.
Well, that's what we're going to fucking do.
No caveats. All right. No caveats.
You have like just one sentence or two or three.
How many clauses do we get? How many sub-clauses?
Okay.
Is an N dash available?
All right. Here's the lightning round questions. I have 3 lightning round questions, and then we're going to move on to the after show. And Conrad, we're going to take your question in the after show, and I'll ask you to say it after the lightning round. Okay. Lightning round questions. Ready? Number 1. The dominance of short-form addictive content is evidence that entertainment is really the core of social media. True or false? Eric.
Sure. Yeah, I can't dispute that. Yeah.
Conrad.
True.
Yeah, I think it's indisputable. Number 2. Can something be considered craft, like good craft, if it's optimized for likes, trends, or algorithms?
Absolutely.
I think that there is craft in itself in that. learning how to manipulate it, there is craft in that.
I would say you can have a good piece of craft and be a good sales and marketer at the same time. That's what the world's best artists who are sorry, no, I didn't mean that. The world's highest earning artists.
Yeah, highest paid.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
The Kunzes of the world
are good at both of those. Statement number 3 is the rise of edutainment, Eric, diluting real education or making it more. Is it diluting education? Or is it making it more accessible to the masses?
Making it more accessible. It's a stepping stone.
Yeah, I agree.
And I would agree too, because Vicky said to me at dinner, she's like, the reason I
no
keep
clauses,
bees,
Paul.
No, just short. The reason I keep bees and have chickens is because I was intrigued by these very aesthetic profiles that made it look so wonderful and so beautiful, and that's what hooked me to get more into it for real. And I was
the
like,
romance of it.
Yeah. So it's the entertainment piece hooked my shit and pulled me in, and then I actually cared enough to get into the real nitty gritty of it. And I was like, that's a great fucking point.
It's because somebody told a good story.
Yep.
Okay. So Conrad, why don't you go first? You know, hearing all this discussion, you know, you and I started the episode like fucking craft, you know, like there's nothing else, man. Everyone sucks. Like we started, like that's definitely where it came from. Where are you now with where have you moved and where are you now?
Yeah, I've moved. I've definitely, I think, swapping out the word storytelling for the word entertainment. It's a semantic in a way, but I think it's actually a really important thing I got to ponder.
It doesn't feel as cheap when you call it storytelling, you know?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, stories are entertaining. I mean, a good story is entertaining. And that's one of the yardsticks to evaluate it, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that's, this is precisely why this is such a great podcast for me. It is because it gets you.
Me too.
It helps me to rethink
it's fine.
things.
Well, for myself, I've moved a lot from those old days of being like pissed off by, you know, influencers and whatever. Like I clearly recognize things are way more nuanced and way more like swirled together and convoluted. And there's pros that I never considered. And I think I was just in a small little echo chamber with the walls up, you know, seeing craft as just one thing. And now I feel like, you know, my world is opened. So
that may actually have been informed by the fact that you and I probably spent a great number of years exploring craft without social media or the internet, frankly. So the way we figured some things out and discovered things was a lot more confined, and that informed our outlook, our bias.
And I think I would Yeah, absolutely, Conrad. I couldn't agree more. And I would like to leave you with something Eric said in this episode. As you think about, like, have you moved from thinking about this? I would say, who are you now? For the listeners, I would ask yourself, who are you now in terms of these attributes? And who do you want to be moving forward? That is like insanely profound.
Did Eric, I say that?
You did?
Yeah, you did.
I remember.
Well, Eric, whether or not your short-term memory is shot is a different question. But to me, that's a huge question that we can leave off this episode. Who am I now, and who do I want to be in terms of those multiple elements in my life as a maker, or who I am on social media? I think that is brilliant. I'm going to be thinking about that a lot. We're going to go to the after show. And Conrad, why don't you tell the viewers what our question for the after show is?
If social media disappeared, would woodworking craftspeople survive?
Oh. Whips Debate Club in the after show, bitches.
Holy shit, that's the stinger. End on the stinger. If you want the after show and you want the video feed, all you have to do is subscribe to our Patreon, and we will see you there.
Thanks, friends. Bye.
See ya.
Bye, everyone.
I like this elongated exit right now.
Well, I couldn't find the stop button. It was off screen.